Yeah, hi. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Patrick Kwan. I'm a professor at the Neurology Department and the Department of Medicine at the University of Melbourne, based at the Royal Melbourne Hospital, where we do, I think, a lot of very interesting work. One of my areas of interest is looking at how we could expedite or facilitate the process of doing diagnostic tests to make it more user-friendly, cheaper, and much more convenient. So essentially what we've been trying to produce, if you like, is for those Star Trek fans out there, is a Tricorder, which is a device where you can do a diagnostic test there and then in front of the individual without sending the sample to a remote laboratory. Now, why do we want to do that? And there are actually a number of reasons we've been trying to do that for. People have been trying to do that for some time. And because if you think back at the last time you needed to do some sort of blood test or urine test, you might remember that you went to see your doctor. He or she then decided to order the test. He might have filled out a form, or nowadays do it electronically. Then you probably took the form to the pathology lab, have a blood taken there, collected there, and then that sample would have been sent off to a laboratory somewhere else, and you have to wait, and then you go back to see your doctor when the results were ready, perhaps in a few days or in a few weeks' time. Now that has been the norm that has been operation for a number of years. The problem with that test is that it obviously takes time, and you have to, or your doctor would have to wait for the results to come back before he or she makes a diagnosis or decide to give you the right treatment. Secondly, it's also very expensive. A lot of these tests were done in highly specialized laboratories using very expensive equipment run by highly trained personnel, and all these make the test very expensive. And thirdly, it's also very inconvenient. Inconvenient on your part, inconvenient on the doctor's part, because your doctor will have to wait for the results, and there's a lot of inconvenience around. So wouldn't it be wonderful if we could do it, get the results actually at the doctor's office? And for some years we've been managing this for the very common tests that are done multiple times a day. Then the delay may not be that great, but there has been a lot of advances in genetic research, and with genetic research now we understand that a number of diseases have a genetic basis, and even how we respond to treatment and certain medications is influenced heavily by our genetic makeup. And now for a number of these medications, we now need to do a genetic testing first before prescribing the medications. And doing genetic testing is probably one of the most specialized laboratory tests you can think of, and it takes a lot of time, very expensive. One of the prime examples, I think, would be a good one to illustrate this would be drug testing for people with epilepsy. Epilepsy is very common. About 1 in 100 people have epilepsy at any time point. Roughly 3 per 100 people would develop a seizure at some time during their lives. So it is a very common problem. And the way we treat it mainly is still with medications, and there are very good medications that are very effective in stopping the seizures. However, some of them cause significant side effects. These include very severe skin reactions to these medications when you start commencing the medication. Now, these reactions are rare, but they could be very severe, and these are allergies that are almost impossible to predict. But now we know that certain genes predispose a certain individual to these adverse reactions, and some of these tests are now being required before the medications can be prescribed. And work done by our group have identified some of these genetic markers, and following on, these tests have been now implemented into clinical practice. Now the problem is that, as our research has found, that because the test is so inconvenient, doctors have tended to avoid them and choose other medications which are sometimes less effective or more expensive. and the test is not being used as widely as it should be. So our solution is to produce a point-of-care test that can be used at the doctor's clinic or the bedside. It will be a small chip-based and put into a handheld device, which can then interface with your smartphone to provide decision support or instructions how to use the device and display the results through an app. And the test results will be available within your time of seeing your doctor, rather than waiting for days or weeks to return to his surgery. And the test also, the platform we've identified is very low cost, making it much more cost effective. And you can imagine that this can be used not only in the cosmopolitan industrialized cities, but in the remote country areas where the people have very little access to these highly specialized laboratories. So with this test, they can be distributed across in rural countries, making this test much more accessible to the majority of the world's population. And even though we are developing this for epilepsy medication, the platform is very generic, so that it's very adaptable, highly versatile, can be customized to detect other molecules of interest in our body's blood or urine samples or even saliva samples. So in that case, the test can be applied to other reasons, other tests, other diseases, or other medications as well. So we believe this is going to be a paradigm shift. So imagine next time when you see your doctor, instead of waiting for a week before he can make a diagnosis or give you a medication or give you a script, he takes a small sample of your saliva, and you go have a cup of coffee and you come back with the result. And hopefully this will make medical diagnosis much faster, cheaper, and more accessible to the rural population.